Hello, everyone. IMS welcomes you all to Future You, Set Your Career Compass Right with Experts Insight. And I am Kalyani Majumdar, your host for today's webinar. Now, as you must be knowing, we are covering careers in finance for the past two episodes. So we are done with equity research. We covered investment banking last time, and this time we are covering corporate banking. So we will be covering all aspects of corporate banking, as in the job opportunities, what are the kind of skills that you need, what are the kind of personality that you should ideally have to excel in this particular field, and more. So, but before we get on with the topic and our speaker, let me give you one of my trivias, as I usually do before every episode. So today it's about banking. So did you know that the origin of modern banking in India goes back to British India? And the first Bank of India was called Bank of Hindustan, and it was established in 1770. And did you know the first bank that opened its branch at foreign soil? It was Bank of India. It was the first Indian bank to open a branch outside India in London in 1946. And if you would like to know a little bit more about these general knowledge answer questions for banks, well, there is another one for you, which is basically, did you know this Imperial Bank of India became State Bank of India? So State Bank of India is oldest Bank of India among the banks that exist today. But actually, before the State Bank of India was known as, it was the amalgamation of three banks: Bank of Calcutta, which was established in 1806, Bank of Bombay, that was established in 1840, and Bank of Madras, that was established in 1843. And in 1921, these three became Imperial Bank of India, and then in 1955, it all together became the State Bank of India and a nationalized bank. So now that you know you've got your good quota of bank, the history of banks in India, now let's start with our topic. So today, as I already told you, that we will be covering corporate banking. So we'll be covering questions like what is corporate banking, how to become a corporate banker, what are the various job opportunities, key skills to excel. How does an MBA help in getting your foot in the door in corporate banking? We'll be talking about all that, and we have a very bright young professional. He's Parth Shukla. He's our speaker for today, and he's a manager, corporate banking and strategy with ICICI Bank. He completed his MBA from IIM Indore and has cleared CFA Level 1. Prior to this, he has worked with WorldQuant LLC as a quantitative research consultant and also interned with Goldman Sachs. He's a professional with experience in financial services such as strategy, digital transformation, corporate banking, equity research, and algorithmic trading. So Parth Shukla, thank you very much for coming in today and speaking to us about corporate banking. So, so how about starting with your career trajectory?
Thanks a lot, Kalyani, and thanks a lot, IMS, for giving me this opportunity. I mean, again, it's an honor to share my experiences with all the panelists, all the attendees, and the insights that you shared. Even I didn't know most of them, I have to confess. So yeah, good points. Those.
Yeah, that's my trivia. I mean, every episode has some trivia from Kalyani.
No, that's great. So I'll just walk you through how my journey from MBA onwards to ICICI has been. Correct. So yeah, so I graduated from IIT BHU in metallurgical engineering in 2015. And then I decided to pursue MBA as a fresher and didn't wait for the job placement from engineering. And I figured, okay, I was predetermined to go into finance. So I joined like that, and then summer placements, and that was the track. So when I joined, the first thing that you get is selection into clubs and committees. So I figured to show interest into finance, being an engineer, and competing with commerce graduates and CAs who are generally in the campus, we have to show interest. So I did some certifications, got myself into investment club, Then summer placements, I got into Goldman Sachs in their equity research division. And then onwards, did my summer internship, and then gave a few competitions like JPMC, Deal, and other finance competitions. And then final placements I got with ICICI Bank in the corporate banking division.
So can you tell us a little bit more about also, tell us about, CFA and, I mean, because, there are a lot of people, who would be asking questions about. So I did receive some questions already from the attendees beforehand. So they were mostly asking about, is CFA really required for a bank, for a job in a bank and for corporate banking? And of course, we will be also covering how MBA helps. So that we can take later. But yeah, a little bit more about the kind of.
So honestly, the only relevant thing a non-commerce person can give to an MBA or to a job profile is being good at numbers. So that's what most engineers or non-commerce people can say. We are good with numbers. But so in an MBA, generally the summer placements, they happen around September or October. Okay. So by that time, you only have 2-3 months. You don't have really much to, showcase your interest in finance. So by that time, I think a lot of people in MBA, a lot of students in MBA, they enroll for CFA Level 1. Okay. So that at least by the time they send their resumes out, there is something to show they're interested. So generally CFA Level 1 happens in December, the first stage of it. That's the earliest you can do. So many people enroll it and then clear it. So so CFA Level 1 is, I think, the most preferred out of everything, and it is very generic when it comes to finance. So a lot of finance part of CFA Level 1 is what is covered is in MBA also. So it's nothing new that you'll be doing, but it kind of showcases that you are interested in finance more than any other field in your MBA. So so this is one thing. CFA, however, is not essential for banking, because so I'll tell you more about my job later, but that is more like 10 to 15% of the finance. And if you go to more finance heavy jobs like say portfolio management or a risk analyst, which is in bank or hedge funds or anything, they are more finance heavy, very technically finance heavy. For them, it makes a lot of sense to complete all the 3 levels like that. So for them, it's a longer journey. 2 or 3 years it takes to basically complete all 3 levels at a stretch. So there are other courses as well. I see a lot of participants asking other courses as well. So there are some, so you can always go to Coursera or other certifications, get a digital certified from some good universities, all that. There is a set of certifications called MCFM. I think a lot of you will be aware. It is given by the NSE, and they are small modules which you can complete in a month or 2 months, and get a very subject specific kind of certification like investment analysis or fundamental analysis, technical analysis, whatever interests you in finance. Go for a broader course and get yourself certified in a month or two. I think that really shows that that interest in finance is there. So that's what is mostly done by a lot of engineers and non-commerce people going into MBA.
So what exactly is the job description of a corporate banker? What does corporate banking entails? And what is basically, like the function? If you could just talk about a little bit about the role of a corporate banker.
So, I mean, corporate banker in general is a very, very vague job description.
Yes.
I mean, so even when we talk to different corporate bankers across industry, their job varies a lot. So I'll give you a broader sense. It's like a hub in the scope of of a company and its relation to the bank. So for example, say if I am a company, say Tata or somebody, and I have to manage my finances. So I'll be requiring constant financing sources or solutions throughout my, throughout the course of my company's life. So for that, there is one point of contact essential with the bank, and that is the relationship manager of the corporate banking. Okay. So the corporate banking, generally people are called relationship managers because they are the sole point of contact for any corporate for getting services into a bank. I mean, it can be as small as to getting a credit card of a CEO stuck or unstuck or something. You have to resolve some query of some personal issue of a high level person in an organization. But at the same time, it can involve deals as large as 20,000 crore, 30,000 crore. So everything. So going from say, so a corporate banker essentially has to have knowledge of corporate risk, of global markets, treasury products, of all the trade solutions, of all the tech that is there in financial industry, how to uh, uh, it's so if you get the sense, it's more kind of an advisory role for the overall finance of a company. So it's very broad and covers basically everything. So a part of it also covers investment banking as well. So I'll say investment banking, commercial banking, everything is kind of a subset of corporate banking in general.
So how to become a corporate banker? As in, can you talk a little bit about the entry level roles and then the senior roles? As in, how do you go step by step?
Corporate. So I know most of you would have joined the investment banking session as well.
Yes.
So there is a typical investment banker has a typical role like analyst and then associate and then VP director onwards. So it's a very 3 or 4 step kind of a career. So in general, a corporate banking role, a person usually starts as an assistant relationship manager. So basically, when they join a bank or an NBFC or something, they start to handle some clients. Mostly during their initial periods, they are given like to shadow or some senior people, to follow senior people and see how they talk to CEOs, CXOs, and promoters of the company, how they source deals, what analysis they do in their minds to process a deal, to see whether a deal is worth it or not, how to process it, get to know around about the bank rules and wherever you are. I mean, so the first initial period goes into scoping and getting that base correct, and then after I think first year or something, you get to have a portfolio of your own where you have 4, 5 to 10 companies which are personally mapped to you, and you go and talk to the CXOs, the promoters, and keep in touch with them, get deals done in the bank, and make more money for yourself and the bank. So predominantly it's the entry level role is like this. It involves some number crunching, some making of appraisal notes that we have for a deal. If it comes, there's a lot of research and the note making and analysis that goes into it. There's a lot of legal documentation as well. So all in all, in a first year, a corporate banker is supposed to be on top of everything, whether it's of a digital product or a financial product, of legal documentation, of credit analysis. Everything is broadly covered in the first year, and then a person grows and their organizations, handling larger portfolios, doing more strategic kind of roles, and not into more operational things. So that's how it progresses, and one goes on to become a director of a bank or of a NBFC or any capital firm going forward. A lot of CEOs that we know in banking. Mr. Kotak, Chanda Kochar was there, then Rana Kapoor is there. All these stalwarts, even Parekh of HDFC, all these people, they are all career bankers. So they started and ended in banking. So while we won't know many investment bankers, because the careers are kind of high risk, high reward kind of a career. You start early, get yourself exposed, and kind of make your money out of it and go. But these careers, banking careers, are very long and very responsible and very rewarding careers as well.
Okay. So what is the difference between corporate banking and retail banking as far as work is concerned, or rather, as a function is concerned?
Retail banking, so basic difference is that retail banking caters to a personal need, and corporate banker caters to needs of an organization as a whole. So a retail banker would primarily focus on me as an individual. I'll need home loan or a auto loan, or say insurance, or I'll need some fixed deposits and everything. So those are the products which probably on a personal level they'll need. There is not much of a personal analysis or a negotiation or any kind of thing. You just have a product, the person comes and they buy it from you. It's very volume driven. So there is basically nothing but you have a set of products, and there's a huge volume in branches or wherever you have these pre-approved loans, you have everything, and the volume is generally what makes most of the business.
Right.
While corporate banking is very relationship driven. You make an entry into say a company. So for example, I bring a new company to my portfolio or to the bank. It's new to the bank. I'll talk to them for over 6 months, see whether what they require. It may be as big a thing as a 10 to 20,000 crore of a loan or a acquisition kind of a financing that they required. It can be an IPO issuance where they need to partner with a bank, and it may be as a simple thing as getting salary accounts of all their employees. So it's more a wholesale kind of business, like where you do bulky things. It may not be volume driven. It's very possible that a corporate banker may do only one deal in a year, one or two deal in a year. It's very possible, but that deal is usually very bulky, and it puts a lot of money at stake for the bank and for the corporate. So all the decision making is there's a lot of decision making that goes through.
So M&A is like mergers and acquisition is part of a corporate banker's job as well, just like investment
Not
banker?
directly, not directly. So I'll tell you. So investment banks, they are basically brokers in case of a merger and acquisitions. So they act on behalf of say a sell side, a company who's willing to sell stake, or somebody willing to buy, and they just let two parties meet, and then they process that transaction, allow them to merge and get their fees out of it and go. So but a corporate banker, when they are they stay throughout the life. It's not that okay, there is a transaction and they exit. It doesn't, it's not like that. If you give a loan, if you give a financial product, you are there till that facility ends. So it's more like a proper relationship, and you can't just go out in a deal or two. So whenever a merger acquisition say it happens, so there will be an investment bank who will be brokering the deal, making all those presentations, pitch books that you might have learned last time also in last session, doing a lot of number crunching. But on the debt part of it, when you need to raise loan, or when you need to rechange the financials of the merged entity or something, you may need to change the whole financial structure, and that's when a new bank comes into picture. So a lot of you will be aware. I know people in Mumbai will be aware. A few years, I think 3 or 4 years back, all your electricity bills used to come from Anil Dhirubhai Ambani's company, RDAG, R Infra. So now there's mostly Adani who that. So I was lucky to be part of that team which did that, which participated in that acquisition. It was an 8,000 crore rupee loan. So we were we were participating in such transactions. I mean, not M&A financing directly, but we are a part of the transaction is
what is the difference between, just broadly speaking, what is the difference between corporate banking and corporate finance? As in, corporate finance is an organization, corporate banking obviously in a bank, but like how different it is. And
so corporate finance, I'll just talk about corporate finance is a part of a single organization.
Correct.
So you will be basically a part of a CFO's track or the finance team, and there's a lot of things that a corporate finance guy would do, which can be very basic, like preparing the accounts and tracking the budgets and how the actual things are performed. You can be a part of the financing team as well, which maintains the relationship with corporate bankers. You can be a part of forecasting. You can be a part of M&As in that. So a lot of tech companies, like I think Tech Mahindra, or we have companies like Infosys, so they keep on acquiring small startups and services. So they have a dedicated finance team, corporate finance team, who always keeps looking out for merger and acquisitions, and they have an in-house team who processes that. And there'll always be teams who will do every quarter investor presentations. Investor relations is there. They will keep processing dividends, payments, and everything. So while there's a lot that can be learned in corporate finance, it basically limits you to a single organization in its scope. You can have access to all these fields and products. You may get into a relationship with a corporate banker, and you can do an M&A. But at the same time, what a corporate banker does is not limited to a single organization. So if say I have a portfolio of 10 companies and I'm in touch with them, one of them may require a loan, the other may require a bank guarantee, the other one will require a tech solution from me. Now banks are probably, they have become the leading providers of tech services. I may do supply chain financing for them, like okay, so simple as cash pickup. Okay, for your outlets, if there is a lot of cash coming, I'll send my guy and I'll send my truck in to take that cash and credit to your account. So all these basic plug holes in the company's finances is taken care of by corporate banker. And our portfolios can be from any company. It can be from a chemical company to an MNC company to a construction company to everything. So basically it just covers everything. There is no limitation as such to any of the aspect. That's the basic difference.
So why did you choose banking and instead of like maybe going for say you were already you interned with Goldman Sachs, so
Yeah.
obviously equity was there. So and then you also worked with Quantum, and
Yeah.
but then you chose banking. What was the reason for you to choose banking? And also,
Mhm.
can you just tell us the process of how you decided? Okay, no, I mean I don't want to do this. I want to be
Yeah.
in corporate banking.
For me, how I have I think even in this small amount of time also, I have varied experiences. I have quant trading, I have equity research. I've been there and kind of done that. So it's more personal in my case, but
Okay.
I'll broadly let you know my reasons. I mean, these can be very specific. So in quant trading, it was great. Everything that it usually pays well. There is not, but it is very limited in the type of work you do. It's very coding centric, and most likely you will be writing codes, lengthy codes, and then putting them into market. It's okay, but for a person who is more inclined towards the business aspects, how business is done, how things really work outside. So that was my thing. Like, I have to be more in the market. So
Right.
then I moved to a more less coding role and more of a finance role. Okay. Then so in Goldman Sachs, I interned with their equity research division. I was
Right.
handling options as a product in the US market.
Mm-hmm.
So there typically it's a very enriching job as far as learning is concerned. People who are driven by learning, that for them it's an excellent job, because you have a set of companies. Again, I mean, equity research session would have covered set of companies, and you keep a
Yeah.
track of those companies and
Right.
see how the sector goes.
Right.
So but at the same time, it is also very kind of a desk job kind of thing. Not much of a client interaction is there. It's a lot. It's also a lot mechanical. Like, there are financial models. You keep doing a lot of financial models. You keep your earning forecasts and everything. So again, and equity research jobs are not easy. They are hectic. I mean, once the earning season starts, for example, now quarter results are coming out. So mostly all of your companies will give you quarter results in, say, a single week, and then you have to process those results in a single week. So it's not easy that way also. Corporate banking, what I heard from my seniors in the campus was that it's a very wholesome job, a very fulfilling in a different kind of way, that you get to do a lot of things. I mean, it's as front ending as it can be. One of the biggest challenge with M&As and equity research starting jobs is that they are back end. So you don't get to meet clients until you are 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line. You're 5 years senior. So a client call was a big thing in equity research, but here it's like you are expected to be half a day. You're expected to be out on the street and talking to promoters or CFOs. It's a big game changer. When you talk to people like that and process all kinds of deals. So I mean, that was mostly my thought, that initially there's a lot of exposure that I'll get, and that is kind of unparalleled. That even I have seen, I mean, post my decision also, 3 years down the line, this is probably the role which has given the most exposure in this amount of time.
Okay.
That's broadly my reason. Yeah.
So somebody has also asked about, since you actually spoke about Goldman Sachs, someone was asking how exactly did you land up getting that placement? What was the kind of profile that you had that kind of,
Yeah.
made those guys recruit?
Mentioned before as well, that you have to have things in your resume that show that you are interested in finance. You are good with numbers is what you can show on the resume and substantiate in the interview as well. I mean, they do call for people from good colleges. That's a given. So if you have a good undergrad or a good work experience, that's not relative, but I can say more towards the analytical side. If they basically hire people who they think are good with numbers, and then they kind of onboard them and train them. And I think I made it to the investment club of IIM Indore. I think that was a major plus. During my interview, we could talk about a lot of sectors that we were covering in the club, and what Goldman Sachs covers in their equity research. So a lot of this. It is not a very easy job to get for, I'll be honest, not an easy job to get for non-commerce background, because I think very few, I think everyone in my batch was commerce background in equity research. So that's more likely it. Otherwise, if you have a specialization in some industry, say you have been in Tata Chemicals and you know a lot about chemicals industry, and they think that they need they need a person in the chemicals team who is a technical expert, then they'll probably specifically look for your profile and then interview you for their chemicals team. So
Right.
there are different ways how to get that internship, but basically a standout resume is what clicks a lot.
So what are the key skills to excel as a corporate banker? What are the prerequisite skills required to become a corporate banker? Personality as well as in soft skills as well as hard skills. You've already spoken a bit about hard skills, so yeah, soft skills too.
I think it's 10 to 15% of finance. Unlike people what they think in banking, there is very less sort of a number crunching. Like in IB, they do valuations and make very specific sensitivity analysis and everything that they'll do a lot of Excel work. In corporate banking, it is limited. So you have to have that basic 15% clear. That is there. There should be no doubt about it. Good with numbers is very essential, because when you talk to a CEO or a CFO or anybody, so when they say that, okay, I'm making this crore of this income and now next year I'll be 20, so you should be able to think on the fly what that number would be, how this is. So that kind of helps. And since the job title is a relationship manager, the most important thing is you to be a people's person in general. Understand what the other person is, saying, what his needs are, figure out what a CEO's needs are. You figure out the opportunity, and be in a situation where you can advise him, make money for the bank and for the company as well. So kind of being a better people's person helps a lot. I think that is 60% of what corporate banking is. And I think mostly in any job, it's like the can-do attitude. There'll be a lot of times when even a corporate banker will be stretched to the limits, and say a very high profile, very short time duration deal, like you have to complete this in 1 week or something. And you really have to be on top of it and say, okay, I can do this. So that a can-do attitude is something that will help a long way in any role for that matter.
So one is, of course, I wanted to ask you, what are the can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that you've faced so far in corporate banking? Like maybe one experience or something that really, is kind of something which is, you can remember clearly. What was the challenge all about? And there's somebody, who was also asked a question, what are the frustrating things in corporate banking jobs?
Yeah.
You can probably take these two together. Yeah.
So for me, the frustrating thing was the challenge, actually. So a lot of non-commercial, even everybody will be in a kind of an objective mindset. Let me just explain it. So all of us are preparing for CAT examinations and their end semester examination of various colleges which they're in. So a lot of it's like question hai and you know the answer and you just tick mark it and move on. So it's you're not used to reading or writing lengthy text. Is what was the challenge. Now, so when you are a corporate banker, you are you're expected to write credit notes which are 50 pages about a company or a thing. So a lot of research goes into that. So sometimes it just gets painful. You're not used to writing all that. So this is just one aspect. You can still find out data and write a lot about it, which personally I found challenging was the legal work. I was not at all used to reading legal documentation. It involved a lot of jargon, a lot of Latin words, a lot of lengthy writing of a simple point. There was a chance when I had to read 100-page document and revert the next day, and my legal team was not working. So even I had to understand and give my comments on it. That was a thing that I thought I could never do. But it gave me a huge confidence boost. Like now there is probably nothing that I can't handle. And going forward, I mean, so there are many such frustrating circumstances. Sometimes your super boss will call you in the middle of the night and say, we need this tomorrow morning. And you kind of have to do that. That is the nature of banking in general. I mean, wherever you go, these things happen. But always I choose to think from the side that maybe someday, 5 years down the line, if maybe I am the company, I start my own company, then I'll need to understand all this, that I know what to expect from banks. I know how documentation work, legal paperwork works, how banks assess their situation. So when I am on the company side or when I am in any other organization, I should know everything about banking that is there. So that's how I tend to approach these situations.
Can you tell us, how does an MBA help in getting your foot in the door in corporate banking? And this is my question. And there's an attendee who's asking, I'm pursuing my graduation and I'm a finance enthusiast, but I don't know what to pursue after MBA. How do I choose a particular field? You can take these two together.
MBA generally, so the part of finance that is there, that you can learn by certifications, you can learn, I mean, that the relevant part of finance is basically taught in the first 2 semesters of your MBA, so that you can cover in a CFA level 1, or you can cover in any other certifications. So the most important thing that an MBA kind of teaches a person, or the value add, is how to do case analysis. So MBA is, as you all know, it's a case based study approach. So for each subject, there will not be a presentation like you do this, you do this. It's not like that. You'll always be presented cases. Okay, this was the company's case. They had this problem, and how did you solve it? So that way of looking at a company, and kind of always be in a shoe where you can in the shoes where you are the solution provider for any particular situation. And if you are able to analyze a company and judge how is it working, is it doing bad, is there some problem with that company, because all that is required in corporate banking, that judgment of whether, as a bank, I want to lend to this company. As a bank, do I know what solution I should give? So all that analysis of a judgment of a business is what, I mean, MBA gives you the most. But at the same time, corporate banking generally doesn't hire people from outside MBA colleges. So at best, I have a lot of colleagues who are mostly either it's an MBA, or they are CAs, chartered accountants. So yeah, so mostly those are the two job profiles, education profiles, which help you enter corporate banking. So I think people who are not CA, they will have to probably do an MBA to get into those roles where which I talk about. And
the second question was about how do I choose a particular field.
Yeah.
So there is that one, and then there is also one question that you can take: how did you choose the field in MBA? Like, no, I don't want to do marketing, I don't want to get into this or that, I just want to choose finance. That's my thing. How did you choose that? And probably you can tell us a little bit about your experience in that. And then I think, how do I choose a particular field is what the finance enthusiast is asking. So you can kind of talk about it.
Yeah. As I told you earlier, that was kind of a, I don't know, it's a timing kind of a game, that I was predetermined to enter finance. I was doing some projects with the finance teams before I joined MBA. So I was clear that I will enter finance. So marketing and operations, while I wanted to learn them how they work, HR and everything, but they were not my go-to field from the very beginning. So that may not work with a lot of people, but I can give you a generic feedback. So in these times, I think it's more than essential to keep a broader outlook. I mean, I'll not suggest the way that I did it. Timings were good. We had plenty of options. People who are pursuing MBA in this year, next year, or even the next year may not see the whole plethora of companies coming in and giving many profiles open. So I think just keep an orientation, but I think having a well-developed profile with a mix of everything is a must. You can still, so all the MBAs in IIMs, they are general management. They usually don't have a specification that I did my MBA in finance. That's not how that works in IIMs. So you can always choose a mix of subjects, but I think it makes more sense than ever now, to keep a very generalist kind of a profile rather than being very specific, because you don't know whether you'll get an investment banking offer during your placements. That being said, if you are really clear, just the best thing to do in an MBA college is networking. You talk to your seniors, you talk to your alumni, and in all these established colleges, you will find people in all walks of life, in all companies. Just talk to them how their job is. Are they satisfied with what they have? Is it something that you are looking for yourself? Just talk to a number of people and see what feels right for you. So for me, when I did my internship in Goldman Sachs, I got a flavor of both equity research and investment banking. So that is something that I decided then, that it's something that I don't want to do right now. It's probably personally, but probably kind of too taxing in terms of work-life balance, you may say. So I want to be in finance, but in a very broader role, in a role which kind of allows me to pace things at my own speed. So that's why I choose, okay, I'll not do this. Then, okay, the next best thing that I asked seniors was corporate banking. And I think that has worked out pretty well for me till now. So that's more like it. But at the same time, I'll also suggest that even the finance part of it is moving much closer to a tech kind of role. Banks are becoming kind of fintechs of the of the future. So having one foot on data or a tech kind of a role does not actually harm you. You should have that going forward.
There's a question. Hi, I have 2.5 years of experience in retail banking. Could you guide me? What are my options going forward?
This is an excellent kind of an experience for as far as banking is concerned, because you are basically aware of all the regulations that a bank is supposed to follow. You are aware of mostly all the products that a bank can offer to a person or to a business or everybody. So that is a great starting point. Just now broaden, I think, your outlook to a more business or more a corporate style or a more strategy kind of a role. And then I think combination of a pure banker and a strategy will probably give you the best results of going into a investment banker or a corporate banking or any larger wholesale banking role. And probably I think a lot of retail bankers are not very they're not very exposed to finance. So get a load of finance courses in your MBA, give a mix of finance and strategy, and that will help. The work experience certainly counts.
Okay. Since you spoke about fintech, how is technology affecting the banking sector, and not just in its functions and roles, but also as our CAT aspirants, our MBA aspirants who will probably get into the job market? How is technology affecting the banking sector? Can you just tell us a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, there's been a tremendous change. I mean, even I have seen like a generation kind of a change within 3 years of my career in banking. In last, I mean, we used to do everything on papers and printouts and everything. Even the clients used to sign documents and stamp everything, and everything was very paper based, very kind of old school. While retail banking in general had evolved, now you get everything on an app. You can pay and you don't have to go to bank. I personally haven't gone to my bank branch for last 3 years, so I don't remember the last time actually I went to branch. So all that is changing, and all that is changing across the whole banking. So now even banks want their customers to be very independent. They don't want many people or much workload coming into the branches. They feel, okay, I'll give you an app, you do your transactions there, you be happy, I'll be happy. Just don't bother me much. So as a banker also, I want to be involved in more value-add discussions and not operational things like processing a payment or something is getting stuck or anything. So I leave that all to the tech part of it. So essentially, and that is true across industries that I've seen. Anything that is driven by standard operating procedures, which has a laid rule, okay, ye karna hai, iske ye karna hai, that will all be automated in a few years. I mean, it's a lot of it is in process, a lot of it will go. And even the banking part of it's now it will become very analytics driven, that you'll not probably be able to look at all the financials. You will have softwares which will now do that for you. What you will basically need is that analytical frame of mind going forward, that how business is doing. Numbers will be there for you. All the analysis will be there for you, that the tech will do for you. But that judgment and the relationship will remain. So that is what will be left of banking. That's what I see 5 years down the line. But very interesting field going forward.
I'm computer engineer and currently working, and I have interest in finance. So my question is, should I do an MBA in finance or an MBA in other fields? As in, maybe he hasn't specified anything, but maybe like business analytics and other things like this.
Again, we see that eventually all these roles in banking eventually will kind of saturate. There will be a tech aspect. There will be a requirement of a computers guy that is very beneficial for all the computer graduates out there. Be it so I'll just tell you one aspect. Corporate bank, even in a bank, corporate bankers are exposed to a lot of strategic things. I mean, we are given to be part of projects which involve digital transformation, which involves developing of tools which will help the bank in general. So we are, from time to time, we are enrolled in those projects within the banks as well, and that happens across the bank. So having a computer background certainly helps in finance, whether it's a digital role or a strategy role. But I think the best way you can combine that is by doing an MBA and going into a fintech role. There are a lot of companies. There are companies like Cred or even Google Pay, phone pay, all these payment banks and everything, they do a very beautiful combination of finance and computers. And then they, I think, bring out the best solutions. Even Zerodha as a platform is great when it comes to meeting finance and tech. So I think MBA in finance will help, but it will kind of take away that tech part from you, but you can still choose fintech as an industry. One other beautiful course is the PGDBA course, that is from IIM Calcutta and KG Kharagpur and ISI. A few of my colleagues and friends have done that, not colleagues but friends have done this, and extremely beneficial. That is one of a kind of its role, and people who have a good coding or a good statistical background will find it excellent. And I think there is no better course in India in data sciences analytics than that course. So that's, I think certainly everybody should keep an option if they're good with maths and stats.
How did you switch from, this is a question, how did you switch from metallurgy to an MBA? How did you justify the switch during CAT interviews? I think this person must have joined a little later after, so anyway.
Yeah. No issues. Yeah. That I can, so even during my BTech, you see the placements, how they are going for the past, you have 3 set of senior batches with you. So you see that, okay, core metallurgy is something that you personally won't want to do. It's more like sitting in a offshore plant location or doing something. That is something that I didn't find very enriching. There were, however, opportunities where I could go for further research, say PhD in nanosciences or new material engineering, new metallurgical engineering. But that is, again, so we see the possible options, we see what will not work for us, and then but we identified it early. I mean, me and one of my friends, we started something together. We published a research paper in finance, talked to a couple of professors, even in college, did some small certification, and then did an internship at IIM Lucknow. So once we decided that metallurgy is not working for us, we tried to move on, do something more in finance, more in analytics, played some, became a part of some finance organization or something that everything can do. There's a lot of things that you can do. So by the time we hit the CAT interview or the MBA interview, you have things to show that, okay, this is something that I want to do. Why I want to do an MBA can be any reason. I want to be a more from a more tech role, I want to evolve to a more strategy role or a more managerial kind of role. That will be there. They will ask you to justify why you did your metallurgy then, and you can't deny that. But you can always say, I studied, but the job prospects, the kind of roles that were there, they were not suitable for you. So I was grilled on my metallurgical engineering knowledge during my interviews. I was grilled for 30 minutes. They asked me, they saw the grade sheet, and then they asked, okay, this is the subject you got a C grade in. Okay, so what's wrong with this subject? So people were expert in metallurgy there, so they asked questions. So I answered. I said, frankly, that's why I'm not a metallurgical engineer. So that's the whole reason. If I'm not, that's how it works. I mean, there are a lot of reasons you can justify.
What is credit? What is credit risk management and credit risk analyst in banking? Are they the same thing or are they different?
Credit risk analyst generally is a person who looks at a company's financials or various aspects of risk that can come in a financial relationship. So it's a very broad definition. I'll tell you a bit more details. Suppose I am a corporate banker and I get a deal in the bank. I say, okay, this company needs 1,000 crores of loan from me. I'll get it to my credit risk analyst, who will see all sorts, whether the management is doing fine, whether the company is doing fine. All that analysis they will stress the company with, and then they will provide me okay, this is the chances of default, this is the credit rating that they will give to the borrower. Okay, how good this borrower is likely to survive, how well is it sustaining in its business, and then we give our loans accordingly. So a lot of brains behind a decision, a financing decision, is basically passed through the credit risk analyst. And once in the banks, once they sign off, then only we are able to push the deal and convert it. So at the same time, there are a lot of independent credit rating agencies and analysts. There's CRISIL, there is ICRA, there is Fitch, Moody's, S&P. So all these will also come for your placements in MBAs also. So they are credit rating analysts who externally rate this thing. So when a company wants to have a new financing, or I think every year a company is required to have a credit rating if it avails banks financing. So they will go to these credit rating agencies, CRISIL or ICRA or anybody, and they'll ask, okay, I'll give you all the details. You have to give me a credit rating so that I can approach banks. So the level of brain work, the level of analysis is a lot that goes into credit risk analysis. It's I think as compared to corporate banking role, it's 60 to 70% finance on and data crunching than people's role.
Can you tell us some few suggestions to build our profile basically for corporate banking? Tips for building profile for corporate banking. Basically the resume, how it should be.
Very generic, as I say.
How early one should start with this? As in, you just cannot be just, okay, you are just preparing for CAT and now, you are already pursuing an MBA from one of the B schools. And then if you are thinking of doing all the courses, does that work at all?
Yeah.
Or one should actually start planning a little bit before, even before.
So it's never too late for jab jago tab savera. That holds true in all walks of life. Yeah. So many people, we should. That is one thing that I felt wrong with my approach is I started pretty early, so I couldn't keep an open mind with respect to all the opportunities that MBA could give me. So I was pretty oriented. Okay, I want to do finance, but that's there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, I think you are not open to a lot of things that usually you tend to ignore a lot of things. But I'll suggest the best thing that we can do is go to the college, see how the placement scenarios are, what kind of companies come in your college, talk to the seniors, what kind of roles are that you offer, and then tailor make your solution, your resume in the next few months before the summer placements happen. You can do that by a variety of ways. Week-long courses, these NCFM certifications that I talked about, have something there, but there are always competitions going on. So Deloitte organizes one competition, JP Morgan. So all these are B school competitions, participate in them. Try to win at least some zonal round, national round, anything if you can put it on your resume. Try to get associated with financy things like clubs or, there are competitions even in college fests which are related to the finance domain. Become a part of their team. Do some research of your own. People also have published their own articles. Some people write blogs. So there are a variety of things, and you probably need only one good point in your interview to crack it. If you are able to do that, that is there. But going far as far as corporate banking profiles are there, I think in IIM Indore we had around 20 people in general who were recruited in corporate banking. And the starting packages are usually, if not same, then more than investment banking in general in IIMs, at least in LIK, Excel, and let's say, because then ABC investment banking profiles are very good. They are more front end, more private equity, so their track is different. But so that's how it is. I personally felt that they were not looking much. They were looking for some finance orientation, but not much. So during their process, they will shortlist a lot of people, but during their case GDs and the kind of interviews that they'll have, they'll figure out whether they'll give you problems like that. They'll figure out, okay, this person has the knack of getting that judgment that whether you would like to, lend to this company or how you approach a problem. So it's very this relationship, very, very interview driven. So there's nothing specific on your resume that can, guarantee you a corporate banking job, but that orientation, that bent of mind has to be there. That's it.
Can you tell us a little bit about an internship in asset management, and what is asset management? How is it? What is it?
So I'm not the best person to give this feedback, but as far as I know, asset management is again something that it's similar to a banker. What we do on a debt side of it, you do on an equity side of it. So an asset manager will scout the whole universe for, say, a few companies that he wants to see. There will be target multiples that we'll have. Okay, I'll need a company of this size. They want to be making this much profit. You do all the analysis, and you have to place the money of your organization or of yourself or your team in those companies for a certain period of time, and then you tend to monitor it. Okay, if it is going down, some companies doing bad, I need to exit that investment. So whatever a banker does on a debt side, the asset manager basically does on an equity side. So the kind of analysis is mostly the same. in asset, but the debt and equity is the difference.
Currently, I'm doing my graduation in marketing. I want to do my MBA in finance, but I'm weak in quant. Should I do my MBA in finance at all, or I should get into some other field in MBA? Somebody who's weak in quant. Is it a good idea for them to pursue
Um,
MBA in finance?
so I mean, while it is clearly one of those conditions that you have to be good with numbers, but that's again a very relative term that you find. If I mean, good with numbers, nobody needs to be Shakuntala Devi, but you can be. Your basic sense of numbers should be there. Most importantly, I mean, I said that 60 to 80% of it is people management and that knack of analyzing a business. So if that is there, just go with it. But I'd still suggest that enter the MBA course with an open mind and see a couple of courses, talk to seniors, whatever feels right, then go into it. I mean, I still suggest all the attendees to keep an open mind while entering their MBAs. And if you certainly feel the hunch of going into finance right now, talk to as many people as you can, and if that feels right, then go with all guns blazing. Take the certification, take courses, do whatever you can to build a finance resume. They'll make you do this. The college will make you do this. Build a finance resume. There's a whole 1 month long resume preparation exercise that is done by the seniors and the placement committees. They will do that for you. But once you figure out what's right, then make a resume. But enter finance with an open mind is what I'll say.
Is it possible to make a transition from operations with 3 years experience to finance post MBA?
In a lot of finance jobs, your previous experience mostly doesn't count. It counts the most when you are entering. If say you're an IT person or you are an operations person and you enter into consulting or IT consulting. An operations person is excellent in consultancy because they know how businesses are run basically inside out. So a person who has worked say 3 years, 2 years in Tata Motors or Cummins or any other manufacturing organization, they will know the aspects of supply chain and how businesses are run. So they make excellent consultants. However, you can again make your profile such that your past becomes irrelevant. I was not chosen on my metallurgical engineering or my operations internship. I also did one internship in BHEL Hyderabad. So I was not counted on that, and I did not show it as well. So when even in your resume, you can move things according to what is most relevant. You can put probably your operations part at the end, or even you can tailor make your operations part into a numbers kind of part. You can say that while doing this operations, I made increase efficiency of the organization to 20%, 30%. So all that you can do, and that counts.
Joining post MBA, is it advisable to join an Indian private bank like HDFC and ICICI? Does it give you more exposure, or is it good to join a foreign bank like Citibank or HSBC, or does it make any difference at all?
No, I think it makes a lot of difference actually. So there's a difference in cultures basically in Indian versus private organizations, Indian and foreign.
Foreign banks,
yeah. So Indian banks generally don't have a lot of trainings in general. They'll just push you into a deep end of the pool. I mean, in initial stages, that works best for you because you are exposed to a huge number of things in the beginning. You will be put in kind of a tech strategy role. You'll be put to talk with many clients that you don't know how to start. You'll be there and you know how to talk to this guy. So all these things are there. In MNC firms, you basically start in a more back-end kind of role. Is what I felt. The culture may be better. I am not saying that it's a more polished, a more professional culture, but again, pay gaps may be there, but again, it's a more back-end role, and then
you get to learn more in an Indian bank basically because you are just there.
In the beginning, I think yes. Then I think that then you make your own career. Some people find it then better to move to a senior role in an MNC bank, so Citibank, because that role in Citibank will give you everything that you need: a good culture plus higher pay, probably whatever works for you. But I think at initial level, Indian private sector banks will give you the most.
Did the IIM brand? I like this question. Did the IIM brand name acts as a cherry on the top in your career growth?
Absolutely. I mean, I am not a very strong supporter of tags, but they do work. Sorry to say, because even so, there is a huge difference when I say A, B, C, and then LIK, and then again some separate colleges are there, the other tier 1, tier 2 colleges. The kind of roles that companies offer, they differ drastically. So while in a tier 2 or tier 3 colleges, you may not get corporate banking roles at all. You may be exposed to only say a branch banking role or retail banking role or transaction banking role in branches. You may not get M&A roles at all, investment banking roles at all. So while even from the onset, there is a difference in the IIMs or the MBA colleges that they have. Even within the roles also, I think the tags matter, because when you go talk to the clients, also you tend to introduce yourself as this. There's a lot of alumni base that is there, and probably a lot of IIM alumni are there who are CFOs, CXOs in the company. So that kind of always adds value. So that is multiple cherries on top, I'd say.
Okay. So what are your suggestions to an MBA aspirant in order to, I mean, basically, how do they get future ready if they want to pursue corporate banking? And also with the COVID-19 and our learning, the banking sector, how is its situation now? I mean, how is banking sector doing with the COVID-19 situation, and how will that affect the MBA aspirants who will be probably pursuing corporate banking in, say, 2022, 2023? Because our attendees are mostly preparing for CAT this year. So, yeah. So what should they do now in order to have a better chance in corporate banking?
So first thing, I think the finance industry is changing a lot in COVID-19. The simple fact is that people are placing money in safer institutions rather than putting a lot of money in markets, and they're keeping more FDs with safer banks. So probably recruiters like Yes Bank or IndusInd Bank or some banks who are a bit riskier in general with their profiles, you may find them missing out in the placement season. So and similarly, banks like ICICI, HDFC, or Axis, who have probably again they started their growth journey, so they will again be more roles in them possibly. Now, what in this time we can do is again try to develop that sense. Do as many cases as you can in your MBA, because that's what will prepare you for analyzing, for observing a lot of businesses, how they work. Because you don't know what sector you may be asked to go and pitch to. You may be asked to pitch to a solar guy and meet a CEO who is a real estate developer. So you have to spend your time in MBA to learn how a lot of businesses work. Talk to a lot of people. I mean, small talks are very difficult to do, but again, go out of your way and try networking with people. Try to have meaningful conversations, get in discussions, debate, do cases, participate in competitions. I mean, just increase your knowledge. Be very aware of what is happening in financial industry and markets in general. So that is true for anybody, whether it's in marketing or any role. If you are an MBA person, just be very strongly aware of what's happening in the markets. Stay on top of things. Read, I think, financial newspapers, Mint, Economic Times. Just stay kind of into the market mostly, and that will help you in interviews, in CAT interviews, and even in placement interviews a lot.
Well, thank you very much, Parth Shukla. Before we wrap up, I would like to thank all of you attendees as well. And of course, our special thanks to Parth Shukla for giving all these wonderful insight to corporate banking. And this is Kalyani Majumdar from IMS Future You, wishing you a great weekend. Stay home and stay safe. Good day and all the best for your CAT preparation. Thank you.
All the best, everyone. Thanks a lot,
Parth.
Kalyani.
Thank you, Parth.